winning team that shuts out impaired driving. Whether you're out on the town or just hanging out with friends, drink responsibly. Always have a plan for a safe ride home for yourself, your family, and your friends. You'll be helping to shut out impaired driving.
Visit ArriveAlive.org to find out more. Arrive Alive. Drive sober.
When you give a part of yourself through Canadian Blood Services, your donation could go on to captivate a country, fuel the future, be the best dad, or support cultures to thrive. Because when you donate through Canadian Blood Services, you don't just make a difference, you make all the difference. Join Canada's Lifeline today at blood.ca.
You're watching Rogers TV St. John's.
Hi, I'm Darren Hann, and welcome to Pocket Universe, coming to you from Heroes and Hobbies. On today's show, we have Mark Coleman talking about 3D printing, and we have Bailey Culleton Reid, wardrobe prop designer. Come on back after this. And welcome back to Pocket Universe. I would like to welcome to the show Mark Coleman, 3D maker. Welcome, Mark.
Thank you, Darren.
Mark, 3D printing. We've got a lot of different little characters here today, but tell us how you got into 3D printing and a little bit what it is in case anybody doesn't know what it is right now.
So 3D printing started as a hobby for myself just before pandemic. My son he's really into Legos, and we wanted to make he wanted a lamp. Mm-hmm. So I started looking online for like a Lego type lamp.
Sure.
And someone suggested maybe getting one 3D printed.
Okay.
So I started looking into it and looked online and saw how actually incredibly expensive it was to have parts 3D printed.
Mm-hmm.
So I began to kind of do a little research into the technology. I've been watching it for a couple of years, but didn't really see it being a viable hobby type
right.
Thing to get into at the time.
Yep.
The machines were really, really expensive. In the last number of years, they've come down. You can get them on Amazon for as little as $350 now.
Right.
So we 3D printed a Lego Man Light, mm-hmm. and from there it grew pretty big, and I was printing everything. Every time my wife's like, "Oh, we should have this," I go, "I can print that."
You can print that.
I can print that. So we were making all kinds of little different things,
sure.
And during the pandemic, no one could get filament. They were so used to getting it from Amazon and things from Amazon and online, and all that stuff was being delayed. And I still had a supplier I was ordering bulk for myself anyway. Mm-hmm. So I started helping out the local community and people. There's a local Facebook group, 3D Newfoundland 3D printing. And people looking, so I was like, I got a roll, you need a roll,
sure,
I'll help you out, just pay what I paid for type thing.
Yep.
But soon I started running out myself, and so I started ordering a bit more. And so I decided, I was like, well, here's a little opportunity. I'll take advantage of working from home.
Yep.
And so what was supposed to be a small venture, just to help out through the pandemic locally, turned it to help out makers, mm-hmm. turned into be a pretty busy business.
Well, good for you.
And the first shipment that I had received, I think it was probably 60 or 70 spools. I figured that was going to last me 2 or 3 months.
Yep.
Sold it in the first day.
Oh, wow.
I didn't realize how many people are in the St. John's area initially were into 3D printing, mm-hmm. But there is a very large and healthy group, community around it. So from there I expanded into actual business. Mm-hmm. Have our own website. You can order material. I was stocking 3D printers anymore, but we kind of changed the focus, and then we're strictly material, offering material right now, and and a 3D printing service.
Okay.
So
What are there different types of 3D printing?
there's two main types. There's FDM, which is probably the most common and easiest, where you use a roll of plastic and run it through a machine, and it prints out your object.
That's what all these guys do.
These are all files that you get online. Some you have to pay for.
Yep.
Some you can download free under common license and things like that.
Yep.
And there's also websites like for miniatures and things. I think it's called Hero Forge. You can go online and actually customize, build your own character, your own mini as such.
Sure.
And you can either have that company 3D print it,
Yep.
or you can download it. And if you have a 3D printer, you can 3D print them yourself, or have a service do it, like here locally. Yeah, so there's that's one way. The other way is a resin type 3D printing, and that's a lot messier.
Okay.
And not really good for beginners. Kind of
More advanced.
More a little advanced. You're dealing with a chemical essentially.
Okay.
And it's strongly recommended to wear gloves and a mask and stuff when you're handling it. So, and use a well ventilated area. So it's not really something that you want to do in your house, in an office.
That'd be more something if you were making like professional parts.
Yeah,
or
so
stuff that.
this Mandalorian
Yep.
that I have here, I downloaded, actually paid for the file, and this is printed on a resin 3D printer.
On the resin printer.
They're high detail, so it prints in layers.
Yep.
So each layer of this that's cured is 0.05 millimeters thick.
Wow, that's tiny.
Whereas an FDM printer can go as little as 0.15.
Okay.
So it's not as fine. So
Gotcha.
you typically don't see the layer lines in these ones because it's so fine. Whereas these larger objects, if you don't have your settings right, you will see some lines and stuff. And
Gotcha.
right. So
What do you need besides the 3D printer? Do you need anything else?
You need a 3D printer. You need a computer, PC or Mac or whatever. You don't need much, and it's a piece of software. It's called a slicing slicer that takes your file and configures it up ready for the 3D printer to take.
Okay.
A lot of people get into 3D printing, as happened in the pandemic, because they were looking for something to do.
Sure.
And realize that it's not like a paper printer where you push the button and out it comes.
Right.
There is a fair amount of trial and error with it, and I do a little bit of tech support on that online through a messenger and stuff. So there's a lot of people that got into it and got out of it because, for instance, the helmet that you're holding there. This is my son's Mandalorian helmet.
Yep.
Not painted to the way it should be in the, I'm not a really good painter
Well, I think
as
it's
such.
pretty close, to be honest with you.
Right, it's not right on.
Yep.
That took a lot of time of sanding it after and filler and paint. That helmet there took about 56 hours to print.
So it's quite a long process.
It can be a long process. You can get more expensive machines that would print it in less time.
Yeah.
But you're getting into thousands of dollars when you're getting
What
into...
does a basic, if someone wants to get into the hobby, what's a basic machine? Rough price.
You probably be about $350 for an Ender 3 or equivalent.
And a spool is how much?
About
roughly?
$30, $31 is what I actually sell two types from two manufacturers. One is called eSun, which comes from China.
Yep.
I deal with a Canadian distributor for that. So that because of the logistics and supply chain issues, that my supplier has also started producing their own.
Okay.
So they have a couple different brand lines. Colors are not as abundant as the original because they're just kind of ramped up in the last 6 months. However, they're putting their filament on a cardboard spool.
Okay.
So, which is a big problem with 3D printing, because what do you do with an empty plastic spool?
Yeah.
It ends up in the garbage most of the time. Some people will be able to repurpose them, but it comes to a point that you got too many and they end up in the garbage, and unfortunately there's no one here
that recycles.
So I do also carry a brand. They're manufacturers on cardboard spools, which are fully recyclable.
Cardboard.
Yep.
Now, speaking about cardboard, this guy looks like cardboard, but he's not. He doesn't feel like plastic like the helmet does. What's this little guy? We know who he is. He's Groot.
He's Groot.
He's Groot.
So Groot is actually made from a printed using a wood-based 3D filament, 3D printer filament. So what that is, it's still has plastic in it, but there's wood fibers infused in the plastic.
Okay.
So when you print out your object using wood-filled filament, it has the texture, gives you a kind of a texture of wood. You can see kind of like he's kind of hairy in spots, kind of. So you get to, and when you paint it, it will take paint or stain like wood.
Like wood.
Yeah, like wood.
Okay.
Like wood, actual
like wood. Yeah.
And there's all kinds of different filaments for that now. I've done some Christmas ornaments where there's glitter in the filament, so the filament's kind of semi-transparent.
Sure.
And there's filament that there's glitter in it, so you kind of get a glittery feel to it.
Yep.
There's like for instance, in this is actually a functional remote control snowmobile that we online. We have 2 of these.
Yeah.
We got the files online, had to pay for these. There's a big following. Now there's a couple different renditions of this, but this is fully functional. I had to buy some hardware, but all the parts, we had bought the files. The track is actually made out of rubber.
But it's 3D printed.
It's 3D printed.
3D printed rubber.
3D printed rubber. It's called TPU. So you can do phone cases. There's all kinds of different applications. I've done hose washers, and it's like there's application for making trinkets and your desk toys, little decorative things like I make vases for people.
Oh, that's nice.
Out of different, I have a filament that's marble.
Yep.
It looks like it's white with black specks in it, so it looks kind of marbly. So you make a
so
marble vase.
Now where they're actually putting stuff in the filaments to make it.
Yep.
Okay.
You can get actually you can get right into, you can put carbon fiber into 3D print, so you can 3D print carbon fiber.
Wow.
Right. You need a pretty duty machine to handle that, but you can print. So there's not only can you make I'll call hobby like for RC or cosplay or even for gaming, you can make your own miniatures and stuff. There's also household applications and stuff too.
Yeah.
I actually fixed my washer machine during the pandemic.
Yeah.
I had a part wear out. I took it, I learned some CAD and designed a replacement part. 3D printed it, stuck it in the washer, held us over until the actual part showed up in the mail.
So you can actually design your own stuff?
You can design your own stuff. All these things here, someone had to design it.
Someone had to design it.
Yeah. So we sponsored my son's in a hockey league in Paradise.
Yep.
So this year I sponsored both the regular league and I'm sponsoring their year-end tournament.
Okay.
So we're giving away every week. The kids got a little medal. I don't have it on me right here now. But they would get to take that home, and it's completely 3D printed, multicolor.
Nice.
Thing, so they got one to take one home. Every child went home with one at the end of the season.
Gotcha.
And we're doing the player of the game for the tournament as well. So every team, every game, someone's going to get one of these 3D printed medals. Take home with a little stand that they can put up on their desk in their dresser, or stick it up with a magnet so they can stick it right on their fridge.
Nice. Now, Mark, this little guy again.
Yeah.
Is that the color that the filament comes? Actual wood color, or is he painted wood?
No, he comes.
Painted as wood.
That is his actual color. Other than my wife did a bit of fancy painting there, but to give him some green hair and some eyes. Yep. But that particular model is printed in the color that the filament is.
And that's like the Skidooed.
Skidooed. So there's none of this has been painted. Yeah. So this is actually yellow, black.
Gotcha, yeah.
Yep.
Mark,
27 different colors I think I carry.
Oh, is it 27 different colors?
Yep.
Mark, if someone want to get in contact with you, how do they find you?
The best way is through my website, Coleman3D.ca. You can place orders online there, accept EMT and credit card. You can also contact through Facebook Messenger. Perfect. And I actually have a spot on my website you can line up and get a quote for a file to be printed.
Excellent, thank you. Mark, thanks for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll be right back after this. And welcome back. I would like to welcome to the show Bailey Reid, wardrobe and prop designer. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Tell me what a wardrobe and prop designer is and how you got into this.
Well, I like to design wardrobes and props. It's mostly for theater. I'd like to get into cinema in the future, but I mostly got into it actually from cosplay. Is like really where like my basis in honestly most of my life is, most of the passion in my life. Started 10 years ago when I started cosplaying, and I started competing in it really. And I've always like had like a passion for problem solving, and I've always loved modeling as well. So of course like taking pictures comes along with like cosplay.
Sure.
And creation. And I started, I was actually accepted into a degree in visual arts, a bachelor's degree in visual arts in Grenfell. But
Okay.
I was reached by the theater program there that I didn't even know existed because they had saw one of my cosplays on the news. And I believe that was my Discord costume, was at Sci-Fi on the Rock a few years ago. It's probably my most popular one. It had it had 17-foot wings that could articulate. They would move outwards.
Oh, wow.
And I was in like 7-inch platform heels, and it was the most uncomfortable I ever was in my entire life. Lashes stiff. But I remember they saw that, and I got a call, just a random call on the phone, and this was past like even deadlines where you could even like apply for school anymore, and I thought I was going to art school.
Right.
But one of the teachers there, who's actually a well-acclaimed designer in theater around Canada, Roy Hansen-Robachek, his name is, and he's become since my mentor and someone I appreciate so much in my life. But he saw that, and he initially what he thought is, we need that one here, because there's a lot of visual artists in that school. It's quite competitive, in fact, to get accepted into it, but they have a hard time finding theater technicians in particular. There's plenty of actors in the acting stream, but not a lot of people know about the theater techs, and because that includes like lights, sounds, costumes, props, sets, all that kind of stuff. And of course the sets and costumes and props is more so where I kind of leaned into, and even more so in the design, but
Sure.
rather than just the building. But yeah, they ended up reaching out to me, and I actually, the question all boiled down to my magic 8-ball, because I didn't know where I wanted to go from there, whether visual arts or theater. And so I was like, there's only one person who can answer this for me, my magic 8-ball that's in the shape of a Mario question block.
And you actually based it
I
on
did, and I asked if I should go to theater, and it said, let's go. So,
So you went to theater.
so I went to theater, and I must say, I think it was one of the best choices I've ever made.
Wow.
Because, like, I do love art, and I still am like a portrait artist on my spare time, and I do drag as well, which is like art in the face. But I found that was more of like a hobby for me rather than something that I really want to like continue. But when it comes to like theater and designing for theater, it becomes less in the cosplay sense, because it's no longer about me and like what I want to do. And like, because when I cosplay, you can take creative liberties. You don't have to look like the character. I mean, like Discord, the one I mentioned earlier, was a Draconequist, which is a mythical creature, and there's no possible way a human being can look like that. That's
right.
So but like in theater, it's not about you. It's about what the play needs.
That's right.
And it's not necessarily even about making things big and impressive and spectacular, because sometimes things that will create the most like effective and lasting like meaning in a play is something that's like small and intimate. It's about what you need and not necessarily what you want. And I thought that was a really interesting spin on my original take of design, and like it really grew my opinion on what design is, for sure.
What have you designed that you're really proud of so far? For theater.
I am very, very proud of my most recent project that I finished. I'm a really big fan of Jurassic Park. I'm a huge Jurassic Park nerd. And on top of that, practical effects is something I have an incredible passion for, and bringing back into cinema in particular, real, tangible, practical effects that you can touch, and like the classic horror, all those real things. Like I love that kind of thing. And CGI is the bane of my existence.
So I guess you really like the old black and white movies.
I do, and I love like the real stuff that's made. So for theater, I created a velociraptor of my own, inspired by the ones in Jurassic Park. I believe the length was about 6 to 7 feet long.
Wow.
I was inside of it. It was and I could control the head and the neck, and I could open and close the mouth. It was all puppetry, really. That's really when it gets into the theater/cinema, because in cinema that would probably be all electronic. But I made it with fishing wire, wood, PVC pipe. I used a laser printer to print the like lizard scale texture onto foam, which I attached to this outside skeleton. And that, like, I wish I had more budget and time, if I'm honest, because I feel like I could have created something maybe a little more realistic, like I was hoping to make. But it ended up a little more silly looking because I couldn't get super realistic eyeballs, so I put a big googly eyes on the side of it instead. But like, it's you have to be willing to compromise on those kind of things, and I was still incredibly proud I built a thing that had moving legs, a moving tail, a moving head, like, and it was all of my own design. I on AutoCAD, all just from those lines that I drew on a piece of paper, you know? And
it come to life and you created it.
Yeah.
That, I would love to see a picture of that.
I will definitely send them your way.
See that. Now, you said you've competed in some competitions.
Yes.
Where have you competed there?
I have competed mostly at Sci-Fi on the Rock and Avalon Expo.
That's 2 local conventions here.
Yes, in St. John's. I have made appearances across the island before, but I haven't. It's probably come to fruition. My costumes tend to be quite large in size, so transporting them across the island can be quite difficult. So I wasn't able to compete in Corner Brook at one Gander. I can't remember the name.
Well, one in Gander is called Gander Geek Fest.
Gander Geek Fest. Geek Fest, that's what it was. I wasn't able to compete in Geek Fest, but I did show up to that one once. But yeah, I've been doing that for 10 years, basically.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a long.
Yeah.
It's a long
It's
time.
coming up on 10 years. Technically 9 years. Coming up on 10 years in next month.
Yeah. What are some of the costumes that you've created?
My problem with my costumes is a lot of people have a hard time recognizing them.
Okay.
Because I never go for like the Wonder Woman or like the Princess Leia. I normally go for the Discord from My Little Pony, or Thumbelina at the Beetle Ball. Was my first competitive one. Thumbelina at the Beetle Ball, and I did, my most recent one was Mr. Butlertron from Clone High, an old adult cartoon series. I've always wanted to cosplay like anime girls, but I feel like it's almost just too close.
Real life.
It's like my friend said to me before, I was just like, I don't know why I haven't just cosplayed like a regular anime girl yet. And he's like, you already are one.
You dress like it every day.
Yeah, it's like what else are you gonna wear? Like,
exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
So the course that you're taking now, tell us a little bit about that more.
I absolutely love it. I'm technically the only person in my year right now.
Oh, okay.
Because, God bless, there's one stage manager who's the best person in the world, who's also kind of in my year, but she was in the year before me. But when COVID hit, I was in my second year, and it really torn everybody asunder.
Sure.
And so a lot of people either dropped out because they didn't know if theater was going to be a viable career anymore.
That's right. Yeah,
or they just took their time off, or you know what I mean? It also made courses hard to do, because how do you do theater courses online when my courses are here, sew this costume, age this jacket? You know what I mean? It's hard to do that kind of thing from home when you don't have the access to those materials and workshops and those people and those support systems and stuff like that. But it really is lovely now that we're back, and I encourage everybody who's into cosplay to even give it a try. Just think about if you would want to do it for theater or film, because the courses, like I said, it's literally like you go in there and we have our own, like the technical theater students alone have this space that nobody else is allowed into, and it's just ours, and we have our tools there, and you can go there whenever you want. It's open until 2 o'clock in the morning, and you can just stay there and you can work there to your little heart's content about anything that you want to do. You can build your own stuff there, and we have access to 3D printers, laser printers, workshops. You can just go in and, I don't know, it's just like, it's such like a personalized experience, that degree is, being a technical theater student.
So once you get this degree, what will you be able to work at?
There's actually, if you went online under the MUN website, you could find a long long multi-page list of jobs that people have had after graduating this degree. Because when I signed up for it, one of their selling points was 100% success rate in finding jobs after graduation. In fact, they found it hard for people to graduate because people were just being plucked from the program so often that they just get jobs before they even graduate. But you can do stuff, like I said, in theater, you could do lighting, sound, sets, design, props, and that's even like design or just technician, you know what I mean?
Sure, yeah.
Like operating soundboards, any of that kind of stuff. If you're into any of that technology kind of thing, that's super coming up. I've done stuff in VR. I've painted sets in virtual reality. Like I said, 3D printing, if you're into designing 3D printing kind of stuff, and it's super easy to mix the visual arts and the theater programs together as well. I did visual arts courses as well as theater arts courses because they're super in tandem, and like it's a really close-knit system, and you get super close to your professors because there's only like 3 of you in your class. And it's like, I call everyone there like my parents. Like I have a theater mom, a theater dad, and that's theater uncle. And
You mentioned Jurassic Park and actual props and that. Wasn't there a line in Jurassic Park that Jeff Goldblum says to the other guy, "We're going to be extinct"?
Yeah.
And it was directed towards the props people.
Yeah.
I think it was something like that. It went, didn't it? It's something like that.
And that's accurate, and it's so true. And the reason why, like, Jurassic Park stands up as one of the most iconic like movies when it comes to practical effects is because those velociraptors were real things. Those were built by people, and that was like most of the research I did when building my velociraptor was what did these designers go through when they were building their own. And it's just I wish there was more of that in modern
I read some
film.
things about Jurassic Park, and they were saying about how some of the actors were like half afraid to come to work because like what's going to be trying to eat me today?
The T-Rex apparently had a bad habit of turning on its own.
Oh,
apparently.
wow.
Yeah, I've heard myths of that.
That would be scary.
And yeah, I can only imagine that would be quite uncomfortable.
No one controlling it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
If someone wanted to see your work, where would they find it?
Well, actually, right now I only have a drag Instagram for my drag queen works, which is Madama Cadaver.
Okay.
Which my drag character's name is Abracadaver.
Abracadaver.
And but I'm gonna definitely post more cosplay stuff on there as well because that character is definitely very cosplay. And if there's more interest in that, I could open up my own just cosplay account. That's I could make a business out of that.
Well, good for you. Well, good luck in the future.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back after this. So, group, what did you think of today's show? Good. I got to get into 3D printing. Oh, we got to get your arm fixed there, buddy, and talk to Mark about that. So, me and Groot would like to say thank you for watching today's episode, and we hope you come back next time. Bye-bye.
If you have a comment about this program, we'd